Tonight, on the world's most amazing videos, a snowmobiler soars over a ravine, but crashes face first. Plus, a helpless zookeeper is savagely mauled by a pair of hungry lions. Then, off-road thrill seekers get a wild ride when their Jeep plummets off a cliff.
Oh, God.
And a fun-filled day of tubing takes a terrifying turn when a teenager crushes her neck. Later, a burning gas truck is so hot, it literally melts a bridge. These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
He sticks the lemon. Oh, God.
Crystal, Minnesota. Thrill-seeking teenagers get their kicks videotaping a school project on tubing. Shayna Rasmussen is one of the students taking the plunge.
6 of us ended up going just to make a movie about, these wipeouts, which we were eventually going to put into the school film festival.
Shayna and her friends build a snow ramp to make the wipeouts more dramatic.
Nice looking jump.
It was kind of scary to look at. Some people were getting hurt and staying down for minutes at a time, but at the same time they were getting back up and laughing, so I just assumed it would be fun.
Go, Shayna. Go.
It's fun now, but Shayna's life is about to be turned upside down.
Go, Shayna, go.
I picked up a lot more speed than I had the first time. Right after I hit the jump, I immediately started leaning back, and the tube came out from underneath me.
Shayna's neck suffers the full force of the crushing fall.
I was pretty much in pain all over my back. I physically couldn't move my body at all. All I wanted to do was cry. So many things were rushing through my head, am I ever gonna be able to play sports again? Will I be okay? What's wrong with me?
Shayna is hurt worse than she knows. Right there, that hit breaks her back.
I didn't actually realize how serious it was until I got to the hospital and I took an x-ray. My back literally was just bent and it was crooked. That's when it really hit me and I just completely broke down.
Shayna's mother takes the news even harder.
I pictured the worst. I couldn't imagine Shayna, who's an athlete, injured for life. It was terrifying.
But Shayna recovers. After surgery and months in a body brace, she's even planning a return to sports.
I'm still hoping to run track this spring, but I'll definitely be staying away from tubing and jumps.
Dayton, Ohio, a dark stretch of highway. Police handcuff and search a suspected drunk driver.
All right, go ahead and spread your feet apart. Spread your feet well apart. Point your toes out.
2 officers are there in separate patrol cars. Both are rolling dashboard cameras. The cops are being very careful with the suspect.
Don't have anything else that can stick me or poke me or cut me, right?
Then, without warning, a speeding pickup truck scrapes against the first police car, then mashes the second cruiser into the man's Corvette. Suspect and officers are sandwiched in the steel.
David! Oh! 51357. I need an ambulance. Signal 5.
As Trooper Kyle Albright searches the suspect, both hear the screech of the pickup truck. The man is hurled onto the hood. Trooper Albright has a broken leg.
My knee's killing me. Son of a...
But through his pain, he tends to the suspect.
Take those off of him, please. Are you all right? Lay down. You got somebody coming? God. He's stuck in between the cars. Oh, God.
The man is conscious, but seriously injured.
Sit him down, please. Ambulance is on its way.
Help finally arrives. 3 men in a 4-car pileup. They walk away from an accident that could have killed them all. Woodward, Iowa. A tornado thunders down on a subdivision.
Get it! Come on! Let's go! Oh, there's the roof. Here, get on there.
Everyone runs for cover, except Jeremiah Nance and his brother Doug.
It almost seemed like it got quieter for a second, and then when it got right there, then it got really loud.
They say a tornado sounds like a freight train, and that's what it sounded like.
The eye of the tornado is less than a block away. Jeremiah and Doug are so close that debris around them is actually being sucked into the twister. A neighbor's house is blown apart.
Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Oh, my Jesus, Lord! Oh, my God!
The tornado roars away.
We're real lucky that it just stayed on the other side of the road there, because I thought it was coming right for us.
Oh, my God!
In its wake, entire homes have been reduced to rubble.
There's more than one. Oh, my God. Oh, my God! Look at that house is gone!
Couldn't have been more than a minute since it just came through and it was all gone.
Suddenly, the 2 brothers hear cries for help.
Come on. Yes.
All I could hear was her, yelling. She was the only one still in her house.
Is there anybody else in there with you? Come here. You all right? You all right?
The woman, Becky Seaman, is lucky to be alive. Her home is destroyed.
I just heard this big whoosh, and I feel my house shake. I heard this great big boom.
Oh, my God!
And then everything just came crashing down. I'm on the floor, and my dresser's on top of me, and the walls are crashing in on me, and I couldn't get out the front door.
Jeremiah and Doug help her to safety.
I am so happy to be alive.
The ferocious funnel cloud uproots trees, flips cars, and takes down buildings. The two brothers risk their lives for a close-up look at nature's deadly fury. This is one encounter they'll never forget.
You don't think that quick that everything can just be gone, but it's just horrible.
Oh my God!
Up next, a race car gets bumped, then cartwheels violently off the track.
There's been contact! McLean's over! That's a big one! Massive crash!
Plus, two lions attack without warning, viciously tearing at a zookeeper's flesh. Then, a convenience store crook makes a grab for the cash, but gets pummeled from behind. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Ipswich, Australia.
Two of them side by side as they exit turn 3.
Second lap at Queensland Raceway.
The long way round, he's going to try the over and under trick.
Drivers speed into a turn.
McLean may have the upper hand here on James. There's been contact. McLean's over. That's a big one. Massive crash. That's gone over at least 4 or 5 times. Two of them side by side as they exit turn 3. McLean may have the upper
Cameron McLean's black Porsche is shoved, launched, and destroyed.
You look how much air it gets to begin with. Side to side, end for end, multiple rollover. That doesn't even resemble a car when you see him coming. He will be very shaken up.
It doesn't look good for Cameron.
No one likes to see a crash of that horrific nature.
And then,
Thankfully, Cameron's okay.
amazingly, he climbs out.
He is lucky to walk away from that one.
I looked at the door on the right-hand side. There's no door there, and all you could see was the sky, so I undid my seat belt and just basically climbed up. I just wanted to get away from it because it's pretty scary stuff, and I went to undo the belt.
The crash lasts a matter of seconds. For Cameron, it feels like an eternity.
It seemed like it went on for 3 weeks or 3 hours, so it's a horrifying thing to be able to be stuck with just crashing and tumbling and waiting. Basically, you're waiting for something to get hurt.
Cameron cheats death.
You've got to be just hanging on to the seatbelts and just shut his eyes.
But that's the risk he takes every time he climbs behind the wheel.
Basically, you race cars, you crash cars. Some crashes are big, some crashes little, and the lucky ones walk away, I guess.
Wellington, New Zealand. Feeding time at the zoo. But these lions are hungry for humans. Zookeeper Bob Bennett is leaving the enclosure when two lions turn on him. Zulu and Malik swipe at the food bucket. When Bob stumbles, the animals pounce. Shelley Wu and her family watch in horror.
Yes, I was very frightened because at the first time when we saw the two lions coming out from the gate, I was very frightened. But when we saw the lions attack, and we realized something went very wrong.
The family screams to distract the cats.
We just try to do something to save him, but we just feel helpless.
The yelling gets the lions' attention. Meanwhile, Bob is conscious and trying to stay calm and still. But suddenly,
one lion just started to attack the zookeeper.
Zulu tears at his arm. Malik rips into his leg. Just when it seems Bob will be torn apart, other zookeepers arrive. They save Bob from the jaws of death. He survives with some nasty puncture wounds. It's the last time he'll walk into the lion's den alone, if he ever returns at all. Grand Bay, Alabama. A laid-back customer asks a store clerk for change. But when she opens the drawer, he strikes. Lucky for the clerk, help is around the corner. As soon as the crook makes his move, her husband runs to the rescue.
Well, I heard my wife screaming for me. I felt that I had to protect her, so whatever I had to do, I had to stop him.
Chris Nicase has only one concern, his wife's safety.
When I come up to him, I hit him in the head and figured if I grabbed him around his arms or his neck or something, that I'd keep him from moving a little bit.
The robber fights with all his might. Chris squeezes him in a chokehold, and his wife rushes back with a double threat.
She come around the counter with the cell phone in one hand and the gun in the other, dialing 911.
She can't pull the trigger. She might shoot Chris, but the crook won't give up.
The suspect started biting me and headbutting me, and I kept trying to hold him down, but I knew I had him on video, so I just let him go.
Chris is right. Police tracked down the bandit the next day.
I ain't just gonna let somebody come in here and take our money and merchandise or whatever. We gotta fight back.
Coming up, a motorcycle daredevil makes a crash landing and shatters both his arms. Plus, a low-flying military chopper snags a power line and plunges to the ground. And later, a dance troupe's routine goes up in flames when a curtain catches fire. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
Tampa, Florida. The Motocross Stunt Fest. Freestyler Garrett Shaw is ready to kick things off with a jump from a 20-foot ramp. Garrett goes up just fine. It's the coming down that hurts.
I was about midway in the air, looked down. I knew something was gonna go wrong. I hit the top. The frame of the bike hit pretty hard in the metal. Hands came off the bars and just nose wheelied down the whole landing ramp.
Garrett smacks, face first. But it's not his face that hurts. He takes the full brunt of the impact on his hands.
Both arms broke instantly. The right one was totally broken in half. The left one looked like the letter Z.
Garrett's pals are horrified when they see his arm.
Let's give these guys some space. Elizabeth, you too. Garrett
doesn't know how bad it is. He finds out when paramedics take him away.
The pain didn't really kick in until they got that mask on you. You're looking at your bones sticking out of your arms, knowing something's wrong.
Garrett endures 6 weeks in the hospital and 7 surgeries.
What's up, dude? They told me, you know, you break it again, you're done. We don't even know how to fix something like this.
But Garrett gets back on his bike. Only now he knows any jump could be his last. Gold Coast, Australia. Andrew and Joanne Solosi are marooned after trying to drive across a flooded bridge.
And we were sort of a little bit iffy about crossing, but we decided that we would cross. A huge gush of water came and hit our truck from the side.
They're in real trouble. The floodwaters are rising fast, and their truck could be swept away at any second. But help arrives. The fireman tosses a lifeline. The rescuers tie life jackets to the rope and send them across. Joanne jumps in and disappears under the surging current. But they've got her. She's out. The time's running out for her husband. Suddenly, the truck rolls over, dragging Andrew down with it.
Behind you!
He's pinned under furious floodwaters and a ton of metal.
Saw the vehicle roll, it was like, oh no, what's going to happen to Andrew?
Andrew appears lost. But then, he waves. Firefighter Steve Lohman dives in.
This is probably the most difficult rescue of my whole fire service career. The most dangerous and I'd say most taxing.
Andrew's leg is wedged between the truck and a tree.
That was his main concern, that he wouldn't be able to swim.
Steve frees Andrew's injured leg, but he's not out of danger yet.
He started to shake a lot and hypothermia was starting to set in at that stage.
The firefighter has no choice but to push Andrew into the torrent. Rescuers battle the savage current and save his life.
The crushing sensation on my leg was unbelievable. But I thought I'd lost my leg there at one stage.
When the truck goes over, Andrew grabs for a tree. It gives him enough leverage to keep his head above water.
I was lucky we were that close to the branch, because if it would have been any further away, it might have been more than my leg that went down.
The couple is saved in a heroic effort. The next time they approach a flooded bridge, they'll make a U-turn.
Behind you!
Tal, Chile. Thousands watch a rousing military parade. Helicopters swoop in for the grand finale. But this is one finish nobody expects. One of the military choppers suddenly stops short and plunges into the crowd. On the flyover, the pilot cuts it too close to the power line. He clips a tower, spins out of control, and crashes onto 2 cars. Soldiers rush in to rescue the pilot and crew. They can only hope that no one in the cars is trapped, or worse. Amazingly, the pilot and crew walk out. As for the crushed automobiles, they're empty. It's sheer luck that this tribute didn't turn into a memorial.
Up next, an off-road rebel tries to get his Jeep back on the road, but takes a terrifying tumble. Plus, a skydiver is caught on the belly of a plane, and the pilot has no choice but to land. And later, an extreme snowmobiler flies off a ramp and suffers a brutal jaw-breaking blow. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Sherwin Reservoir, Colorado. A Jeep teeters at the edge of a 200-foot drop.
Get the truck ready and someone get the truck down there because that guy rolls. We're gonna have to get over there.
Mountain biker Chris Underwood catches the action with his camera. He's got a feeling the four-wheeler is headed for a fall.
When we noticed him going up the slope, he was in a bad spot.
We're gonna have to get over there and help really quick.
The driver's friend tries directing him back onto the trail. It's not helping.
Something that looks little and easy can get you in a lot of trouble out here.
His front left tire is off, wow.
Every time he guns the gas, he's closer to disaster.
Dude, you ought to see this. His front left tire is hanging off the edge, and his back left tire is almost off the ledge.
The driver tries backing up. He inches slowly. It looks like he's got traction.
He's actually clearing it pretty good right now.
But not for long. The Jeep is totaled.
If I had to pick one thing out of the day, it had to be the sound of that Jeep rolling down the mountainside. You just heard every crumple, break, and snap that happened on the way down. You're kind of hoping one of those noises wasn't him.
Fortunately, the roll bars hold up as the Jeep plummets down the side of the hill. The driver walks away with only a scratch. The Jeep, not so lucky.
That had to have been one of the heartbreaking things for the guy to live through that, and then, you know, he still can't drive to work on Monday.
Moscow, Russia. Families enjoy a Saturday matinee featuring clowns and acrobats. But this show is about to heat up. In more ways than one. Suddenly, the ringleader spots something. The curtain's on fire. He rushes off stage. But the rest of the cast keeps dancing, and the flames keep spreading. fireball falls to the stage. But the show must go on. The ringleader bravely stamps out the flames while still dancing. The audience has seen enough. The stage is almost completely engulfed. Finally, a stagehand grabs an extinguisher, but he can't figure out how to use it. It's up to the actors to take on the most challenging role of their careers. Firefighters. The audience gathers in the back. Everyone wants to know how this drama is going to end. The crew manages to douse the flames. The cast is relieved, but this is not how they hope to bring down the house. Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Terror in the skies. Skydiver Andy Judy is caught on the strut of a small plane.
It was extremely exhausting because, you know, I was in a wind blast of 100 miles per hour wearing a 30-pound parachute.
Only the pilot can pull him in. But he can't let go of the wheel. He circles, hoping that Andy will drop. But the terrified skydiver remains tangled, upside down, more helpless with each passing minute.
I could feel my leg going to sleep. I could feel my eyes just feeling like they're gonna pop out of my head.
Time runs out. The plane's on empty. The pilot has no choice but to land, with Andy still hanging underneath.
I could look down and see the ground getting closer. And I can remember thinking, I'm not gonna be in this world anymore.
Attention all units, the pilot just informed us he's coming in now.
Andy slams into the ground. His body is dragged violently 50 feet across the runway. Emergency crews race over. Amazingly, Andy's okay.
That's the biggest sense of relief that I've felt in my life.
Thanks to some quick thinking, he escapes with only a few cuts and scrapes.
What I did was I kind of curled my arms and my legs in and kind of tucked up in a 90-degree position so that my parachute would hit the ground first.
The rig that went through hell.
It was his most incredible skydive yet, and he never opened his chute.
If we were to play this situation over 99 times out of 100, I would be dead. So that's how lucky I am. The very fact that I'm alive is something incredible.
Next, a gas truck explosion sparks an inferno so intense it melts a bridge. Then, a lawnmower racer gets clipped and mowed down by his own machine. As the world's most amazing videos returns.
Valdez, North Carolina.
1245, go ahead, more.
A tanker truck burns after crashing into a highway overpass. It's loaded with 5,000 gallons of gasoline. firefighters are forced to stay back.
The heat was obviously very intense, that much fuel burning, again, which kind of deterred what we were wanting to do. You couldn't get in there close enough to fight the fire the way you needed to.
The blistering inferno is actually melting the steel and concrete bridge.
We knew the bridge itself had been compromised some. You could tell it was starting to sag. You knew that sooner or later the bridge was going to collapse, that it was going to happen. There was nothing we were going to be able to do that was going to stop it.
And then it happens.
I don't think anybody was ready completely for what you saw then. That much concrete and steel hitting the ground at one time, you could feel the interstate shake.
Flames feed on the gushing fuel, and the inferno mushrooms, threatening the lives of everyone on scene.
The fireball that erupted afterwards, when it blazed up, the heat almost doubled in the intensity.
There's no stopping it. Not yet. In the end, it takes 100 firefighters to get the massive blaze under control. The accident is one of the worst in the state's history. On your mark, get set, mow. It's the annual Lawnmower race in Avon Park, Illinois. Ordinary rider mowers hit more than 50 miles an hour. But sometimes they cut too close. Richard Bowman is clipped. He's sent flying. But his foot's caught in the rear wheel. As he cartwheels, he's dragging 500 pounds. When the dust settles, Richard's not moving.
The pain was just tremendous, and I was thinking, is this it? Is this my last race?
Richard knew he was in trouble the moment that other driver tried to pass.
I started to flip, and all I could remember was seeing dirt and sky and dirt and sky. You're tumbling or rolling or sliding, and you want it to stop. And I was scared for my life.
Richard's lawnmower is totaled. But he gets away with bruises, a sprained ankle, and the knowledge that even a lighthearted sport can be deadly serious. Skagway Summit, Alaska. Winter daredevils push their sleds to the limit in an extreme snowmobile competition. All eyes are on Jason Adams. The world-famous snowmobiler is back from serious injuries. And with his first jump, he's out to prove that he hasn't skipped a beat. The leap across the frozen creek doesn't look like much. But Jason lands short. His face smashes on the handlebars. Jason's chin is split.
Damn, dude.
His jaw is smashed. He's lost 17 teeth. It was a smashing comeback. just not the one he was hoping for.
These are the amazing stories of people caught in life and death situations who made it out alive.
That's a big one!
Join us next time for more of the world's most amazing videos.